Hey guys, welcome back to the Double MC podcast. It's your boy CV along with my co-host Mello Mario and Mike Meltz. It's been a while, guys. Give them a shout.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Nice to be back.
What's up, guys? It's good to be back.
Yeah, sorry we haven't been around for a while. We've been working on other things. For instance, our podcast is up at the Double MC our TikTok is up at the Double MC. Go ahead and give us a follow. Check out the videos we put up. Want to shout out Mario and Mikey for starting off the page the right way. Also follow us on Twitter at the double MC or underscore at the double MC. So we're gonna start off with the playoffs. This is the most relevant thing going on right now. It's actually been great basketball. Currently, we still have a few series going on. I think there's two series that are gonna end very quickly this weekend. Guys, y'all want to give y'all's impressions of the playoffs as a whole so far?
Yeah, as a whole, I'll go off first. As a whole, I think the playoffs have been pretty exciting. I'm not a big guy who watches like NBA basketball during the regular season, but of course, playoff time we turn it on. I catch the odd game here and there, but I just feel like the intensity of playoff basketball is always just so different. Like it just means so much more, higher stakes, gameplay. Everything's just elevated to another level. It's actually been pretty exciting to watch. Despite no defense. It's the NBA. But speaking on that, I just love how the Celtics have been playing lately, really.
Bias
Yes,
Celtics
yes.
fans. There we go.
Speaking on what you just said, I completely agree with that. But I also want to add that it's nice for a change to have a little bit more parity in the NBA. It's not like it was before, where you're just waiting for the Cavs and the Warriors to meet in the finals,
Hmm.
or before that, it was the Spurs to go to the finals, or when Kobe was with the Lakers, it was you're waiting for the Lakers to go to the finals. I think it's good for basketball to have this parity, and unfortunately, what has helped in that is injuries. We saw the injury to Devin Booker. We saw the Bucks had a few injuries. Obviously, last season, the Lakers had a lot of injured players, and this season is why they didn't make the playoffs, in my opinion. So that stinks. But in terms of the parity, I think it's really, really cool, and you're really getting to see, the big marquee players shine. Yes, because those players always show up. But to me, the playoffs is always about the role players really stepping into their own and making a difference in the big moments of the game. We saw tonight Tyler
Oh,
Hero kind of just go off in the Heat game, and that was really fun to see. And you have a bunch of these other players going off in the league who are typically role players helping their team in big moments, and I think that's really cool.
apologize for that. So for me, I think what these playoffs have done for the league as a whole is shine a huge spotlight on the future of the league. You have players like Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, John Morant, Jason Tatum, Jordan Poole, again, like just to name a few, that are showing out, has the league buzzing over their potential, over their roles on their teams. And I think like you said, Mario, it's like nice to have some parity because it's not really a clear cut. Well, I have a clear cut winner, but like it's not really dominated by one team. I mean, all year, everyone had the Bucks, but now that Chris Middleton's out for however long it may be, it's kind of wide open, and the Sixers are like playing down to the Raptors. And a lot of people have the Sixers since the James Harden trade moving on to the finals, but I have to say, I personally I don't have confidence in the Sixers to make it. The Nets, who seem to be on top of the world after they got rid of James Harden and had so much optimism for Ben Simmons, they're looking like they're about to get swept. And
Yeah.
it's crazy to think, like, if you look at the playoffs, um, I guess we can count last year and 2019 versus now. Like this is such a change in direction for the league as a whole. Because before you had your LeBrons every year, your Kevin Durant, your super teams to face LeBron, and it was really just a two-horse race the entire year. But now you have multiple teams that have made picks, multiple teams that have guys that can shoot like from outside the gym to even out everything, and it's It's going to be interesting to say the least. The next 2 months of basketball is going to be very interesting. I think we're going to have some memorable moments. And I think we're in the midst of potentially all-time great playoffs.
Yeah, I got one complaint. Why is the first round a 7 game series?
No,
That's
typically
my
I would agree
biggest
with you.
complaint.
I would agree
Nah,
typically,
nah,
but
nah.
this year's different, bro. This
No,
year
because
it's
I'll tell you. Hold
really
on,
different.
let me finish. Because this is what turns a lot of people off about the NBA play. 2 fucking months long. It's way too long. It's hard to keep people interested enough during the regular season, right? And then you go and throw on 2 extra months of basketball. That's why I bet you a lot of people aren't even watching this first round because for like the casual fan, the first round is pretty much irrelevant, and they want to watch. But if you would make it just 5 game series, more people would watch. It's just I don't know. To the casual viewer, it's not as appealing, and
I
that's who
would
you got to
agree
appeal
with
to.
you. I would agree
It's
with
true
you
that two
normally.
months 2 months is way too long. It's like ridiculous. You're playing
I,
a
I
mini
would.
season.
Yeah, I would agree with you normally, but it just feels like this year is so different because every game has been so close.
Different.
There has been
Different.
very, very few blowouts. We're looking at one tonight with the Bulls and the Bucks, but
Well,
typically
yeah.
that happens between a 1 and an 8 seed or the 2 and the 7 seed. Typically you have those types of games in the first round, and like you said, people don't even tune in. But this year it just feels different, and I don't know if it's because the threat of LeBron isn't kind of looming over everyone, and everyone feels that they have their first shots, or the super team in Brooklyn hasn't worked out how people thought it would, and Devin Booker going down in for the Suns is giving the Pelicans some hope. I don't know what it is, but this year just feels different. So normally I would definitely agree with you, but this year I feel like it's warranted because I
Okay,
do feel like very few of these series will be under 5 games.
this
I
this is
I
this is
agree.
a
I agree
this
with
is
that one.
another
Yeah.
this is another thing about the NBA playoffs that pisses me off is that you have a game, right, and instead of having a 1 day break, you have a 2 day break in between games. That's why it takes so damn long. Also, it takes forever. Like the Celtics played 2 days ago, and when did they play? Was it 2 days ago, and they don't play again until tomorrow?
until tomorrow.
Yeah, they don't play
It's
it until tomorrow.
ridiculous. It should be you play a game, you have your travel day, you play the next game, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Well, aren't they? They're
that's here to
it's
stay
traveling. They're
though.
fair.
traveling back to Brooklyn though.
Yeah,
So I
Yeah,
mean,
but
it's
but
not
that's
like
here
it's
to
that
stay.
far.
That's here to stay because
it's ridiculous. It's
of the
stupid,
injuries.
bro.
The
I don't
injuries.
care
If
about the
anything,
injuries.
players are gonna ask for more time off in
Players
between.
didictate. Players
So
dictate the
I mean,
space.
I
Well,
agree
I'll
with you
say
for sure, but
if they're
it's up
scared
to the
about
players.
injuries, play a 5 game series for the first round.
Yeah, you know why I agree with you with the first round 5 game series is because it's not unprecedented. Obviously, it's happened before, and also because of the play-in. I think that by adding a mini, you could call it a wild card. With what
Yeah,
that's
it's like a
essentially
wild
what the
card.
play-in is, right? I think that if
Mhm.
the NBA was to structure their playoffs the way that baseball does, which is you have the play-in game and the first round is 5 games, and then the rest after that are 7. I think it would be fine. But like I said, normally I would 100% agree with you. I have some trepidations this year just because, like I said, the only series that seems to be
Don't get blinded because this playoffs is good. Just wait till you have a shitty playoffs, and then you're gonna be fucking wishing we had 5 game series.
that is true, and maybe it is recency bias on my side. I'll give you that. Maybe it is, but this year I'm excited. Maybe it's also because
Hold
the
on.
only other sport
Also
right now
think
that's
This
about
is
playing this
putting.
season baseball.
think about this too. Let's say like I don't know, like the average series is probably like 6 games or something, 5 to 6
Yeah.
games, right?
Hmm.
So like let's say that like let's just go to the Celtics. We'll just use this one for whatever example, right? They
Yeah.
play six
Mhm.
games, right? Celtics win. Okay, they go to the Eastern Conference semis. They play another 6 games, right? Okay, that's already 12 games. Then they go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They play another 6 games, right? That's 18. Then they go to the finals. They play like another six. That's 24 games.
Yeah.
Oh, Landry
It's
Shamet. My
ridiculous.
goodness.
It's insane. It's
No,
wasting
and
Yeah,
games.
it's almost like a whole other season, and I think that brings it back to what you were saying earlier, which is like casual fans, which is really what leagues should cater more to.
Yeah.
They don't watch the regular season just because they know it doesn't matter, especially now with Twitter and how easily highlights are available,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all that
but
ESPN and Bleacher
you
Report, that's all they post, so there's no
you have to
reason
you
to
have to
watch
remember
games.
you have to remember the gap between basketball and football, like the major sports in this country. Like baseball's going on, yes, but we know how long that season goes on,
Yeah.
and you're talking about ending a season earlier, potentially in mid-June, and then having July, August, and September to just kill time with. Like I think it's financially it makes sense for the NBA.
Oh,
But
from a
for me,
financial point of view, you might as well do it like 11 game series.
Yeah.
but this particular playoffs, and I don't know if you guys can reference this play. I'm sure y'all can, but it's giving me very much 2012, 2013 kind of vibes, like where it's kind of wide open.
Hmm.
Like you have your favorites in both conferences. So I guess technically this year would be the Heat and the Suns, right? But like really those teams could go down in against any opponent that's actually in the playoffs. And I think that this year, like with the amount of time that these teams have since they've actually had a full season this year, I think it's going to bring a lot of new younger fans, especially with these younger players showing out. Because I really think this is one of those playoffs where
Who
the
won the
champion is going to be the
championship?
best
12,
team in the league.
12, 13. Is that the Heat's first
That's
win
the
with
Heat's
LeBron?
first, and I want to say the 2012 finals was the Mavericks Heat when the Mavericks won.
Mm,
Okay.
When it was still relatively open. That was when the Warriors were getting their feet under them. The Nuggets were pretty good. You also had the Pacers on the come up. The Bulls were pretty good. Um, yeah, like I said,
That's
young
funny.
players about to lead the decade in greatness. But um, on that topic, guys, we're gonna go ahead and talk about our opinionated best teams from each conference and reasons why. So whoever wants to start, go for it.
go ahead, Mike.
Oh, well, I mean, you got to say the Eastern Conference of Celtics, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's really hard to make an argument against that, honestly.
I mean,
Yeah.
you okay? First game, Kyrie goes off, right? But you pull out a win on a buzzer beater. Cool. Second game, you just absolutely dominate Kyrie and KD on defense, forcing like all these other players they have to kind of step up, but they just pretty much couldn't do it. I mean, just absolutely control the game from the start. So you could see how the Celtics can win in multiple ways, which is what I like. And then I think how the Nets are adding Ben Simmons. I feel like that hurts the Nets right now, really, because that's just like you're struggling to get
Defensively?
KD. I mean, overall, really,
Mm.
defensively, he might be a liability. I don't know how long he's gonna play, how fully healthy he might be, but where I'm going with that is like Kyrie and KD were struggling to get going, right, in this past game. So now you're adding
Mhm.
another superstar into the mix, right? And he hasn't played. He's gonna want minutes and he's gonna want touches, right? So now you got to get him adjusted to game time, and it's gonna be game 4. So let's assume they lose game 3 because the Celtics are playing so well. I mean, they very could well lose game 3, and now you're trying to work in another superstar into the mix in a do or die situation. I just don't see how that helps them really. I feel like they should just play with what they have and make do.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
I think that the Celtics are, because a lot of people are saying that the Brooklyn Nets have the edge, you could say, because Ben is coming back. People forget that Ben hasn't played in months.
He ain't played in
a
over a
year,
year.
a calendar
He ain't played
Months.
year,
in
a
over a
Yeah.
calendar
year.
year.
And he's never played with the players that he's with now. So he's playing with two uh, ball handlers. So his touches are going to be limited, which could help his game because we all know that he's not the best ball handler. He's not the best shot creator. But I think that what people aren't talking about enough is the Celtics, Robert Williams coming back.
He'll be back tomorrow, I
Yes,
think.
and I think that that's going to make a bigger impact for the Celtics than Ben coming back is going to
Yeah.
make for
Oh,
the
Robert Williams
Nets
was a monster.
on defense. Yes, and they're already playing KD so well defensively. I think that you add a big man there, and it's gonna just completely tip the scales towards the Celtics even more than it already has. Because I think that you can tell Brooklyn, especially Kyrie and Durant, they're not used to being met with that physicality, especially
Mm-hmm.
nowadays when superstars literally you breathe on them and they get any call. It's still been like that in this series to some extent, but I think that the Boston Celtics are a team that know how to use their physicality the right way. They know where the line is. They know how to toe the line. They know how to get up in players' grill. They know how to disrupt shots. And I mean, it's hard to disrupt KD's shot when hit the ball is like 8 feet above the ground. It's
Yes,
hard as it is
th-
to disrupt the shot.
this is the big thing I noticed with the Celtics and how they're playing KD. His on-ball defender will let him take two dribbles, and then the secondary defender to either the right or the left, whoever's on the wing.
Mhm.
Usually, it's like it'll be a guy like Marcus Smart or whatever. They'll let him take his two
Yeah.
dribbles, right, and before he gets up to a shot, hands right there, hands right at his
Yep.
waist, right at the ball. They're not allowing him to get up there and create that shot.
He is not comfortable. Him and Kyrie haven't been comfortable all series. And, people could say, oh, that's the Garden, that's the Garden, that's the Garden. Yes, it's a big factor. But even going into Brooklyn, defense travels. I mean, we see that across basketball at any level. And I think that defense is going to travel really well to Brooklyn, especially the way that the Celtics have been playing. And like I said, adding Robert Williams back into the mix. I think that Ben Simmons, I think already all that he's been through, and he's coming into a do or die situation. I don't think that's the best for him. I think that he would much rather like have had a cakewalk of a first round and then come back for the second round, and there's no pressure on you. Now you're down 2-0, you're going home, you might be down 3-0, and you're being put in the situation where, hey man, you're here to make a difference. Like it's either nut up or shut up time. And I don't think that he is the kind of player to really step up to that challenge. We've seen it before when he was in Philly. So I think that the Celtics are the clear-cut East winners. I would like to say that the Bulls maybe have a
I thought you were gonna
shot.
say the 76ers.
No, I was gonna
I
say
hate
the
to tell you
Bulls,
this.
but it's
I,
hard to
I
say.
don't I don't think the 76ers can fuck with them honestly, but
No. I just it would be nice if the Bulls pull out the series against Milwaukee now that Middleton isn't going
Middleton's
to play the
over.
rest of the season or the rest of the series rather. If they pull it out, it would be fun to see a Bulls versus Celtics series. I think that they match up really well, and I think that Caruso is one of the better defenders in the league, and that's why the Bulls won the game 2 in that series, and they actually stole a game in Milwaukee. But going forward, they got blown out today. I don't know, man. It's looking like it's gonna be pretty handy for the Celtics to go on into at least the conference finals.
Well, I think we're pretending that the Miami Heat don't exist, and I think, and as much as flack as they've gotten for consistency over the last 2 to 3 years, I just look at what they're doing right now, and
the
they
Heat.
they yes, the Heat. I, I'm
I would
Let me finish
continue.
my point. Let me finish my point. So Jimmy Butler is literally leading the league right now in the postseason, 33 points a game. I just want to throw that out there. Defensively, Miami is allowing 98 points at most, right? We also have their Miami shooting 50%, and their points differential throughout the entire postseason has been 17 points. And I think that I mean I would love to see an Eastern Conference Finals between Boston and Miami because that would be a good series. I think that series goes to 7. I genuinely do. Um, it would be a very gritty series because it's more defensive, and I know that that's not attractive to the casual fan, as we were mentioning earlier. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, you're gonna have two defensive teams vying for the East, and then the West, you're gonna have historical offenses coming. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my hot take, my clickbait, if you will. Golden State Warriors are winning the championship this year.
That's not clickbait, bro. Because I was thinking because I knew we were recording today, so I was thinking about it, and it just watching them play the last couple games, it just seems like they're playing with the tempo that they were, you know, back
And
when they were the Splash Brothers, before the Clay injuries, before Durant even got there. They're playing with that same mojo, with that same energy that they were playing back then. And all it takes in this case, all it took was the addition of Jordan Poole and him really just stepping into the spotlight. And it's so nice to see, like, I, for some reason, when you watch the Warriors, it seems like shooting is contagious. Like good shooting on that team is just contagious. I don't know how they do it, but in that building, when Steph gets going, the whole team gets going. And I feel like Jordan Poole right now is playing with an amount of confidence that is absurd for a player that has only been in the league for a few years, for a player that the Warriors were unsure of. They didn't even know if they were going to pick up his third year option a few years ago. He's made all the difference for that team, and they are clicking the way that I haven't seen in years for this team. And
No,
it's partially because Clay is healthy again, and it's nice
and
to see him on the court.
it's crazy because the last time this Warriors team was healthy, they were tied in the finals with Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, Kyle
Yeah,
Lowry,
that
all those
Raptors
guys
team.
on the other team. And
Hmm.
and I think people have pretended because we've had the LA LeBron Lakers for the last 2 years, like, oh, they're gonna win the chip. They won in the bubble. They should win this. No, like y'all forget that the Warriors, when healthy, have single-handedly changed the game of basketball as we see it today.
Yeah,
And that's why I don't understand these teams. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I like Nikola Jokic. I like the balanced offense. I like that kind of brand of basketball. But I mean, I say this with admiration. Steph Curry ruined that for everyone.
oh
Steph
yeah,
Curry. Steph
Oh
Curry.
yeah.
That team was a team, and I can say this as a Rockets fan. You could be up by 8 with a minute left, and your heart's beating through your chest because you don't think you're going to win that game. And they've changed how the league has viewed analytics, how the league has viewed the importance of a 3-point shot, how we viewed how positionless lineups.
yeah,
And I think right now you're seeing it. And what's terrifying is their death lineup. So you have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. All have exception of Draymond. Draymond's hit or miss. All
yeah,
have a clip on them, and they can unload it when they want.
yeah,
And defensively, Steph Curry may not be the best defender, but you're gonna walk into 4 better ones right behind him. So unless you're shooting from the top of the key, you have to beat the Warriors with ball movement. And I look at all these teams, and the Suns I think is the best matchup in that case. They remind me of that 2017 Rockets team with James Harden and Chris Paul at the helm. This time it's Devin Booker, who's a more, you know, passive player than James Harden is and when it comes to scoring. And it's gonna be interesting if we do get to see that series. Right now, Phoenix is down 2 to New Orleans. That's a bad habit that they've had all year. They play down to their opponents, but when in reality, Phoenix should be wiping these opponents on the floor.
yeah,
Um, but But yeah, it's like I was saying. I think that the Warriors control their own destiny at this point. I think that people have forgotten, have let the 2 years off, let them forget who the Warriors were. Steph Curry's coming off the bench, which is terrifying to think of because they've beaten the Nuggets 20 points the first 2 games, and then they beat them by almost 10 the third game. They're probably going to go for the sweep on Sunday. I have the Sixers going for the sweep tomorrow. Surprisingly enough, I am going to have to disagree with you on the Ben Simmons take. And here's why. I feel as though, and we talked about this before, the whole Ben Simmons drama was superficial, right? We knew that Ben just didn't want to play after Doc Rivers and Embiid threw him under the bus last year.
Mm-hmm.
Goes without saying. I think he's been disappeared. We haven't seen any really social media posts from him. We haven't seen anything. He's kind of been working in the shadows, and then he gets traded to Brooklyn, and then all of a sudden we see him working out. And then there are conflicting reports saying, "Oh, he's not really healthy. He can't really play. He's not in game shape." But then at the same time, we see these photos or these videos leaking out of him shooting drills with the Nets
However,
jump shot coach Kyle
yeah.
Korver. And here's my theory, guys, and this can be a hot take or however you want to take it. I think since the trade, Ben Simmons has been playing basketball. Not in the public eye, which is not good for him, since
he's probably been
considering everything that he's been through over
practicing.
the last 2 years. He's been practicing running 4-on-4 drills, which is confirmed. He's been playing 4-on-4. And I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
they've been trying to utilize that point in time for jump shots, or like creating open looks for himself, getting his confidence back in his shot. Because if you go onto YouTube and go look at his
I mean, if you're
summer league
Ben
highlights
Simmons,
from his rookie year, he had a jump shot. It's not that the jump shot disappeared. It's just his confidence and his self-awareness when it came to his offensive game fell apart because when he came into the league, he was what were his biggest knocks? He wasn't the strongest defender. I mean, the strongest offensive player. He would get bullied around in the paint, so he had to compensate by driving at the rim, drawing fouls,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, you're gonna lose rhythm in your shooting. So I think when he comes back, I don't think it's going to be as much of a liability as we think. Do I think his minutes will be affected? Yes, but I think when it comes down to crunch time and they need a guy to stop Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, I think he'll be there. So I
I think
think I
I
still
think
think
you're out of your
Celtics in
mind. First
six.
off,
I still think Celtics in six. I
first
still
off,
think Celtics in six.
I think you're nuts. I don't know where you're getting. I don't know, this is coming from a good place, okay? But I don't know. I don't know what. It's because okay. Well, I don't know what gives anybody confidence in Ben Simmons in his shooting ability besides maybe some highlights that you were talking about when he was playing in the summer league as a rookie. I mean, he hasn't proved it for the past like 3 seasons. He's a serial
Well,
choker in the playoffs.
Yeah.
if there's any player
And
in
when
the
the lights
league
are
that
shining brighter, he's a choker. I mean, that's just simple. I don't care if
Mhm.
you put him with two of the best players in the world. Those two guys can pop off. But when it comes down to him personally getting a one-on-one stop, I just don't have the faith in
We've
him.
read this
I,
book before, dude.
yeah,
We've seen
I'm
this
not
movie
saying
before.
I'm not
I
saying
don't know.
he's
Any of his
he's not
previous
an
years,
amazing basketball player because I'm sure he is a great basketball player.
look,
I mean,
look,
you
look, look,
wouldn't
look,
be
look, look,
so
look, look.
highly sought after if he was
Look,
trash.
his rookie year, he had trouble with
I
strength,
just
right?
don't have
All of a
faith
sudden,
in
he has
him.
some kind of injury, as the 76ers were notorious for. Remember, every single first-round pick for the 76ers, shout out Zaire Smith real quick, missed
Yeah,
their
well,
first year for some kind of weird injury. Ben Simmons was
they
out.
had a starting lineup of number one overall picks.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Ben Simmons all of a sudden comes back. You see that freaking Instagram post that the 76ers put out, all jacked and juiced to the point that he got drug
Dating too many
tested. I
Kardashians.
think, that too. But I genuinely believe that there is something going on that we have not seen that will come to light when it comes to the playoffs. So
No, my man.
I
that's
just
my hope. That's me being series because I don't think the Nets should go out like this.
That's you being
I'm a
delusional, bro. That's not you being
it's not
optimistic,
delusional. It's
man.
not delusional.
I just don't have faith. It's not. I don't have anything personal against them. Whatever. I just
This
don't
seems
have
like
faith in the kid.
this seems like you're
I've
projecting.
never been. I've
I
never been
think
on
I
that
think
stage.
that
I'll never be on that stage. But I do not have faith in this kid.
No.
I think Ben Simmons will not be as bad as you say he is. That is my final take. That's all I'm gonna do.
I
So we're
mean,
gonna move on.
I,
Go
I
ahead.
hope
Go
I'm
ahead.
wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Oh,
Actually, I
I'm
don't
right.
because I'm a Celtics fan. But
Well, there you go. So we're gonna move on to dark horses in the East and West and reasons why. I don't. This one's gonna be a little bit tough. Because it's really based off of matchups for me, honestly.
yeah, this is tough for me too because go on.
I think if you're in the East, the team you
Mhm.
don't want to see at any stage, and I think this is more of a matchup thing than anything else. If they can somehow make this a series, I don't think any team in the East would like to play the Hawks.
Yeah, I was considering that too, but I feel like they're sorry. Honestly, I
I
feel
think,
like they just don't
yeah,
have they don't have the experience. Some of these other teams. I didn't mean to say they're sorry. I take that back. That's unfair. But I just feel like they have like no playoff experience. A super young team. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like this is the time where you need experienced players. And who's the most experienced player in that team? Gallinari. You
Yeah.
know,
well, I mean,
like who's gonna?
if we're going into the technicalities of it, if Atlanta's somehow able to beat Miami, Clint Capella could potentially come back. I'm not sure if they
Maybe.
actually came
I mean,
back.
yeah. I mean, you expecting Clint
Um,
Capella to lead that team?
I mean, as a post defender, as a anchor on defense, yeah, I do. I do. I think that's what been the portion that they've been missing the
I don't
most.
know.
And
Let's
I,
say this team makes it far when they have to play some of these teams in these really hostile places. I mean, I don't know. Like let's say Philly wins, right? They're gonna have to
mhm.
go on the road to Philly. I mean, no offense against these Heat fans, but that's the same fan base that left early when the Heat were won that the NBA when they won that finals game. You
Yeah.
know, they're not the
I
most
agree.
loyal fan base ever. So once they start going to like these hardcore fan bases with all these young kids, and you're relying on guys like Clint Capella to, you know,
To hold it down?
to
Well, I
hold it
mean,
down,
I think
good luck.
Clint Capella doesn't do too poorly against Joel Embiid. I mean, he usually holds them to about 14 and 6, which I think is good. But at the same time, you have to rely on a perimeter defender to stop James Harden.
I mean, I don't know. They have potential. Come back to me with the Hawks in the next 3 to 4 years, and I'll have a different opinion. But right now, I just think they're way too young, honestly.
No,
The
I think
dark
they're too
horse,
young. But
the dark horse in these has to be the Bulls. It has to be the Bulls. If the
Mm,
Bulls can pull out this series, it has to be the Bulls, man. Because
I
we
don't know.
saw
They just
you.
got blown out with a Chris Middleton less Bucks, so that's not really
Yeah,
inspiring.
yeah, but I mean, those games happen. You're gonna have those games. I just the amount of fight that I saw from them in game two, it
At
was,
home in the
okay,
first
yeah,
playoff game in 1,018 days,
no, no, no.
something like that.
Coming into the series, I thought it was a clean sweep for the Bucks. I thought the Bulls stood absolutely no chance because we saw throughout the regular season that against the top four teams in the East, the Bulls just had won maybe 2 or 3 games. It was like it was bad.
It's
It was really bad. But after the second game, they were able to still win in Milwaukee. That was good to see. I think that DeMar finally played to his potential in the playoffs, and he kind of shut up some doubters in the second game. I think that the addition of Caruso really shined, and he really helped out in the second game. And today, obviously, yes, they did get blown out. It was pretty bad. I don't want to make a bigger deal out of it than it is. It's just one of those games. It's disappointing that it happened in the playoffs. It's disappointing that it happened, like you said, in the first game in Chicago in over 1,000 days, a playoff game. Yeah, that is disappointing. That sucks. But I think that going forward, I think that if they really just hunker down without Middleton, they need to realize what a big break they caught that he's not there. I think I've been saying this since the beginning of the series. I am more scared of Middleton than I am of Giannis because I know that Giannis is gonna do what he's gonna do. Like he's just that guy where you can pray and hope that he's gonna have an off night, but for the most part, he's gonna go off for at least 25 and 10 or at least 30 and 15. Like it's gonna happen, right? So, but Middleton being out, I think that's such a big deal because he adds a different level of like he has a different dynamic to the team where they can stretch the floor much more when he's on the court, and that gives Giannis a lot more freedom in the post because the defenders have to push a lot more out to the perimeter because they have to worry about Middleton's shot. Now that he's out, I think that after this game is a wash, I'm putting it behind me, whatever. I think that if the Bulls hunker down and they decide, hey, you know what, it's our time to do this, we can make this a series. If they can take it to 6 or 7 games, they have a chance. I think they're for sure the dark horse just because earlier in the first half of the season, before they got decimated by injuries, like every major player on the Bulls was injured at some point this season. Even now, Lonzo's not playing. So I think that if they can play the way they were playing before all these injuries hit the team, before the All Star break, the Bulls are playing amazing. If they can do that, find that level of play again, they have a chance. It's going to be tough because they're going to play Boston in the next series because, in my opinion, that series against Brooklyn is over. Um, but you never know. You never know, man. It's a 7 game series. You never know. So for me, it's
I
the
think
Bulls. Maybe that's biased, whatever. But for me, 100% clear cut. In the East, dark horse, the Bulls, 100%.
I'm not counting out KD or Kyrie. But anyway, uh, in the West, I mean, I
Does
think
Lonzo
we
Ball
could
have
have
hold
a
on?
good. Go
Does
ahead.
Lonzo
Go
Ball have
ahead.
a chance at coming back real quick, like this season?
I
No,
haven't
well, they
heard
said that
anything.
he
Is he
hasn't
done?
responded to treatment. The last that I heard is that they were going to try to get because
Mm.
I think he has like a slight meniscus tear, and they're trying like all these different kinds of treatment on him to see what he responds to. And from what I've heard, it's been like some
And that
borderline
would,
like experimental stuff, and he hasn't responded
uh,
positively to anything that they have tried.
I did see
okay,
that,
well that's
So
but
chalk
I
then.
didn't know if there were any
yeah,
updates
it's
on
probably
that.
chalked.
Um, in the West, I'm gonna have to with if Luca comes back, I have the
Yeah,
Mavericks as a
Yep,
dark
that's what I
horse
was
in the
thinking too.
West.
100%.
Jalen
I think.
Brunson, bro.
Did
I
you
tipped
see
that
that?
guy, bro. I
41
tipped
points.
that. That's so
Yeah.
fucking tippable, bro.
41
Way to
points.
step
And
up. Way to step
and
up.
also, this has nothing to do with my dark horse, but man, I just have to say it. Donovan Mitchell's out of there next year.
Nah,
I
dude.
don't think he sticks around. I don't
Nah,
think
he's
he's
long
a.
term. What is his deal like? His deal has like 3 or 4 more years left. I know that
I
doesn't mean
mean,
anything in the
he was a
NBA, but
rookie in 20. He was a rookie in 2018.
yeah,
No,
but I think
2017,
he re-upped.
2018. I think we're coming up on a player option or team option rookie year. But he does need a new deal. If Utah's not down to commit, I don't see Donovan Mitchell in Utah next year.
No, they're gonna commit. He's their golden goose, bro. I bet you he makes more money for
Yeah.
them selling
Now you
jerseys
get
than he
rid of
does anything
Gobert.
else.
You have to get rid of Gobert. You have to.
Do
Because
you? Bro, Rudy's kind of like godlike on defense, bro. It's like multiple.
he is, but
I don't know if you can
I
get rid
think
of
it's
him.
been too much friction between your two star players for it to actually coexist. And
Yeah,
I know
remember they
people
had
were going to reference
remember they had
Shaq
that
and
little falling
Kobe.
out last year or something.
It
Was it
happened
last
this
year
year
or two
too.
seasons
Middle of the
ago?
year too. It's
Yeah, they
been
had that little falling out.
every year some story
Oh,
comes
I
out
remember.
between them.
It was over the COVID thing, wasn't it? When Rudy was like the first player in the NBA to get COVID, and
Yeah,
he
Yeah,
and
was
he was
like
Donovan
touching
touching
on
all
those
the
Mitchell. Yeah.
mics
mics.
and stuff. Yeah,
He's the first super spreader in this country, dude.
yeah.
That's what
Seriously,
Rudy
he was
was.
like, "Oh, haha, fuck you guys."
No,
Yeah.
because it's like been every year some stories come out that there's friction between them two, and then
Uh,
like the team will come back and be like, no, we don't know what you're talking about. But then the next year around the same time, yeah, and that's usually like during the dog days of the season, it's some kind of friction, and then for some reason and let's be real here, there's no reason why this Utah Jazz team should be 11 out of the 16,
you
16
know,
teams in the playoffs.
if I'm Jazz ownership GM, I get Rudy and I get Donovan Mitchell and I send him to one of those Mormon camps down there in Utah and have him hash it out.
Yeah, that definitely won't
Yeah,
work, bro.
As I'm watching
but
the Dodger game and Mookie Betts just put one in the upper deck against the Padres.
nice.
Regular
Carry
But
on.
season doesn't matter.
but back to my point, I think the Mavericks with Luca, you have a scorer in Brunson, you have freaking Luca coming back and well rested at that, and I don't know the extent of his calf injury, but let's look at the rest of the team. You have, Reggie Bullock as a good defender, Dorian Finney-Smith, who's always been a good defender, Tim Hardaway Jr., who could shoot lights out of the gym every night if he wanted to. A Boban,
Have his dad's
everyone
rookie
loves.
card signed.
Who doesn't love Boban?
Yeah, for real.
Spencer Dinwiddie too has been such a great counterpart for Jalen Brunson. He's been so great, and the Rockets didn't sign him as I wanted them to, but it's okay. I just think this is a team that can. Oh, and I forgot they have Davis Bertans. He can shoot too. I just think this is a team matchup wise does not mesh well with many teams, and they're long, they're lengthy, and I think they don't match up well with a lot of the teams in the West.
Here's the dilemma though. Here's the dilemma. You're the Mavericks, right? You just stole another game. You're up 2-1 in the series. Great. Now you're going into a game 4 where Luca
Mhm.
may or may not come back on limited minutes, right? If
Mm-hmm.
Luca is questionable, now if you're Dallas, you're playing with house money right now, essentially because you're up 2-1.
Yeah.
Do you risk do you risk putting him back in the lineup the next game, or do you wait to game 5?
Oh, you play if he can give you 10 minutes, you take him.
Even as a decoy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't care.
Absolutely.
I mean, you play him no matter what. He gives you 10, you put him in.
Slowly get him back into game shape, and that's always been the age-old debate. Like, hey, like you have an injured player coming back for the playoffs. Like, is it worth resting them, or should you just play them and like just get the sure thing? And I think that in a scenario like this, where you have two other certified scorers, you do bring them back as a decoy. But you don't you see how the Warriors are easing Steph Curry back in. I don't see why Luka would have a problem
I don't
doing
know.
something like that.
This is my thing, right? You're a professional athlete. You're paid to play. You're paid to healthy, and you can give the team anything. You play. That's it. Bottom line, right there. You're there to win.
We're getting into a different subject there.
Yeah, brother,
Right?
that goes
That's a
into
player
he's
a whole
empowerment
different
subject right
thing,
there.
bro.
I don't know
Especially
about
in the
that one.
NBA, dude.
I don't care.
I don't know about
But
that one.
that's how it should. That's how it should be.
Yes,
That's how it
theoretically
should be.
yes, and it was
Yes,
like
I
that for a
agree
long
with you.
time, and then
I agree.
I mean,
Pop started
you're.
managing minutes for players, and that changed everything.
I mean, if you're a high player on this team and you can give the team 10 minutes, you give the team your fucking 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Mm.
and
But
and
you
and
know,
and, and
end of
Luka's not
story
that
right there.
guy. Luka's definitely not the guy who'd be like, oh,
No, I'm
I'm
not
gonna
saying
take
he
the
is.
risk.
It's
No,
more that's
but
more of like a general take.
yes, this is definitely a decision that's on the head coach, and I think it's if he has to get this right, because let's say Luka does come back and he's not ready yet, he doesn't look ready, and he gets re-injured, it could happen. Then the coach is the biggest dum dum in the world, right? But let's say they lose the
Right.
next game, and then Luka comes
Oh
back,
wait,
and
wait,
then
wait.
you're in a hole pretty much.
But I get,
Let me
yeah,
correct
but
myself real
but you have
quick,
a
and you
chance to win a
continue.
championship, right? You're in the
Yeah,
playoffs. What are you gonna do? Wait
yeah,
till next year? I mean, if you have a chance to win it this season, you try it this season.
yeah.
Who
Okay,
cares?
wait, real quick, real quick.
Even if you're the
Tim
even if you're the
Hardaway's out.
worst team that made the playoffs, you try and win the damn championship.
Tim Hardaway's out, so I changed my answer. Yes, I do put Luca in to actually play because you do need that three on the court. And Luca's not a three; he's a point guard. But I mean, you have three scorers like that. You have Spencer Dinwiddie, you have Jalen Brunson, Luca on the court at all times. One of them is going to be open.
I don't
And
know.
I think
That gripes me that like upper ownership is would dictate dictates moves like that, right? Like for the
Mm-hmm.
longevity of the player, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're the worst team in the but you made the playoffs, you try to win the fucking championship. That's it.
Yeah.
At all
No, I,
costs.
I agree. Yeah, I
I
agree,
agree.
and I hope that he plays. And I think that if Luca plays and the Mavericks end up winning this series, I think that's why they're such a good pick for a quote unquote dark horse, even though they're a fourth seed, is because they're either going to play a Phoenix who may or may not have Devin Booker at his 100%, or if New Orleans somehow pulls out a shocker,
They need to focus on
they're
getting
gonna
out of this series first.
they're gonna play an 8 seed. So like if Dallas does get out of this series, I think that they match up pretty good against whoever it is that they do get. And then in the conference finals, it'll probably be the Warriors who they face. So I think that if Luka comes back and he is the Luka that we know he
Oh, that
can
would be a
be,
great series. That would be a
bro.
great series.
If
Warriors,
Luka comes
Mavericks.
back, I mean, honestly, they honestly might very well go to the conference finals. Like
They
genuinely.
match up very well too. I think that's the only team that can match up with the Warriors, the Mavericks, when fully healthy. I mean, Tim Hardaway, it's saying he probably won't return for the playoff run. That's on
Yeah.
me. But even then, I think they have enough defenders to get the job done because you have your three main scorers that can give you 40 either night, any given night. So I think it's a very good counterpart to how like that old Nickelodeon show, Fairy Odd Parents. I think the Mavericks are the anti Warriors. So
Oh, nice.
I think that's a very good series. Hopefully, we can get to it. Real quick, I want to get y'all's conference finals picks, and then we'll go into our news for next week, real quick.
You can go
Go to
first,
Mike.
Mario.
Oh yeah,
Go.
okay, I got it. For the West, ah man, it's just so tough because you know what? No, screw it. I'm gonna do it. I think it's gonna be Dallas versus Golden State.
There we
Mm-hmm.
I
go.
think
Yes,
it's gonna be Dallas
sir.
Golden State in the West because Phoenix without Devin Booker is not the same Phoenix team. And
Yeah.
before Devin got hurt, he had put up what 31 points and a half in that game when he got hurt. So we know like his the amount of presence that he has on the court, it cannot be overstated. Without him, it's shaky. Dallas, like I said, Luka coming back, and I have faith that he will come back at full strength. And the Warriors are just on a different planet right now. I think that the Warriors are playing with so much mojo. All the calls are going their way against this Denver team. We've seen the frustration boil over with Jokic and that Denver team. There's been fighting
Mm-hmm.
amongst themselves. It's pretty much chalked. Then after that, they get either
Boogie,
Memphis or
Monte
Minnesota.
Morris.
Yeah, Memphis or Minnesota. I don't trust either team to hold the lead against the Warriors, especially when they get hot. I mean, we saw what happened last game between Memphis and Minnesota, them giving up such a big lead twice. So I think it's pretty clear cut. I think the only like quote unquote like hot take that you could say is Dallas. A lot of people would have Phoenix there. Normally, like I said, I would, but Devin Booker changes everything. So for sure in
Mm-hmm.
the West, I have Dallas versus Golden State. And then in the East, I think this one's up for grabs for sure. But right now, the way I see it, it's going to be for sure. I think Boston versus Miami. I
Yes,
think
sir.
that it took Atlanta playing a perfect game at home to beat Miami by 1 point today. And it took some Trey Young magic, which, as much as I don't like the guy, he is that impactful generational player for that team. I agree with you guys where they're too young. It's not their time. Maybe one day it will be their time, but it's definitely not yet. So I think that Miami's gonna pull it out, and then whoever they play versus Philly and Toronto, I don't think that James Harden and Ben Simmons James Harden and Embiid are gonna make a big dent in Miami. I just think Miami has too much depth, and I think they're a lot better team. So yeah, I think for sure in the East it's gonna be Miami versus Boston, which is boring because it's a 1 versus a 2 seed, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna give my finals pick. We're gonna do that next week, but
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with New Orleans and Minnesota
Whoa.
now.
I thought he was serious.
No, I'm gonna go with the Mavs. If Luka can come back, which I think he is, get some important minutes, I think they win this series against the Jazz no matter with or without Luka. But if
Whoa.
he can come back for the second series, to play probably the Suns, I'm pretty sure they get past New Orleans without Devin Booker. I think they're gonna beat the Suns and go to the Eastern or the Western Conference Finals, and they'll probably play the Warriors. Honestly, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody on their side of the bracket, like the Warriors, are gonna beat Denver, right? And they're either playing one of Minnesota and or
Memphis.
Sweet.
yeah,
Sweet.
they're not beating any of those two teams. So I'm gonna say Dallas and Golden State, and in the Eastern Conference, I'm gonna go easy Celtics all the way. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think they had like it, I don't think the I'm gonna side of the bracket. The Bulls are gonna lose their series to the Bucks. I
Yeah,
think,
probably. Yeah.
unfortunately, and
Mhm.
then a Middleton against a healthy Boston Celtics with a returning Robert Williams is probably gonna beat that Bucks team. I think. So I think they'll be there, and then I'm gonna take the 76ers over the Heat in a close one to go to the Eastern
Mm.
Conference Finals.
That's a
Okay,
pretty
I
good
like that.
one.
Close
I
one.
like
That's probably a
that
seven.
one.
That's a 7 series.
I
Yeah.
like that
Sixers to
one.
go to Eastern Conference Finals. Let's go with 7.
I like
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, Mario, I'm right in line with you with the Warriors Mavericks. I really do think Luca is as the current term goes, Himothy.
Yeah.
And
That's him.
yeah, it is. But on the Eastern side, I mean, okay, so I'm just give you what I think how the series will go down. I'm not gonna give you a winner. Um, I think Warriors Mavericks go 7, and Boston Miami. I'm sorry, I think it goes 6. I don't
Yeah.
think that's a 7 game series. I think those teams are too
That's tough for Jimmy
defensively
Butler, man.
minded, and I don't
Been a
think
good
it's a
year, bro.
gimme. Well, I don't. I think
They've had a
that
great year.
yeah, Miami had a good year. I just think the I just think that their team is not. I don't know why, but I just been watching Boston against, 2 future Hall of Famers on the same team. Boston is defensive god are defensive gods right now.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you need to go hot or cold in. That's something that, as you said earlier, Mario, it travels.
Yeah, that
And
travels.
that's gonna travel between series. That's gonna travel home or away. That's gonna travel into next year too.
Yeah.
And I think we're in the midst of on the East. I think we're in the midst for years. We've been talking about how historically how historically weak the East is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now you're seeing teams like Miami, Boston, Milwaukee already won a chip. If the 76ers can retain James Harden, which I have all intents and purposes, they will most likely. The Raptors are going to get Scotty Barnes back next year. The Bulls are on the come up. They'll probably attract huge free agents next year at a reduced rate. Brooklyn, if they can get their chemistry together. The Hawks are a very young team. Cleveland is a team I really wished was in this playoffs.
Oh yeah.
But I just think the East is at a point now where we're about to get all these powerhouse offenses, but Boston has stayed to the same game plan since they went to that Eastern Conference Finals against the Cavs in 2018.
Which
Defense, defense, defense. And I think that's the key to winning the East, and I mean technically the West too, but you see how offensively powered the West is right now. And the East is, defense wins championships, right, guys? So
Yeah.
to do what you will with that take, I think that I mean, unless you guys have any closing remarks on the
Yeah,
playoffs so
I
far, I
just want
think
to say because I don't like that I just skipped over the Boston Milwaukee series. I'll probably get. I kind of just skipped over that. The reason why I think that Boston wins that in not even seven, probably like 6 or 5,
the loss
is
of Chris
Yeah.
because
I think it,
yeah,
yeah.
in the first game of Boston versus Brooklyn, we saw Kevin Durant turn the ball over like 5 or 6 times in the first quarter. It was insane. I haven't seen him that flustered in so long. And it just makes me believe that if they can crack down on Durantula like that, then they can crack down on the Greek Freak like that. Because that's my biggest gripe with the way that Chicago's playing Milwaukee right now is that they're letting Giannis pretty much get to the top of the key until they finally get a body on him. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Boston versus Brooklyn against Tarantula, it's been completely the opposite. Pretty much
It's
the dude
like a
crosses half court and
defense
boom,
by
they're
committee,
there.
really.
Yeah, they're and like he crosses half court, boom, they're there. They're in his face for every shot. They're right there. And I think that Chicago has let Giannis early on in the series just go at them with a full head of steam, just play after play after play after play. And we hear a lot of complaints from Bulls fans. Oh, Giannis travels on every play. Yeah, that's gonna happen. They're not gonna call that, especially not against him in the NBA. He should have fouled out of the first game. They didn't call that on him. They called that on the other player. So I think that if Boston can play Milwaukee the same with the same physicality and intensity that they've been playing Brooklyn with, I don't think it'll be close. Just because in today's NBA, especially superstars, they're not used to that physicality anymore. Like that's gone. That's a different era of basketball completely. That's the 90s, the bad boy Pistons. That's totally different. You can get a free, lane to the hoop. Nobody touches you. You get slapped on the
Mm-hmm.
wrist and it's an and one. It's totally different now. And I think that teams are not used to playing against that physicality that Boston has, but they know how to toe the line really well. They don't overdo it the way that some teams have done before. So I didn't like that I just skipped over Milwaukee when I gave my pick for the final for the Eastern Conference Finals, but that's why. I just think
well,
that the
yeah,
physicality would be too much.
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it goes without saying, we had already addressed how we felt about the Bucks with the loss of Chris Middleton, how huge of an impact
Yeah.
he has with that team, and I just think that not to deny the greatness that Giannis has been putting up. I'm not saying Giannis is great, by the way, but um, I think that the defense, like you said, the physical defense that Boston's been able to put out there, and we're seeing it fluster. I mean, I'm sorry. This might be a hot. I don't really think it's a hot take. The best offensive player in the league right now,
Yeah,
and one of
he
the best
is.
point guards we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like I think that goes without saying. Okay, these guys can't score. What makes Giannis any different?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
100%, dude.
I definitely think that's going to be something we're going to have to watch for.
Yeah.
Knock on some wood. If Boston stays healthy, I think they go. I personally think they go all the way.
Yeah.
But again, that's just a result of defense. I'm a traditional, defense wins championships kind of guy.
This is
So
the best
that's
chance that Boston has had of winning a championship in a very long time. Like
yeah,
a very long time. Since they were up 2-0 against LeBron, that team was very young, but in a long time this has been, in my opinion, the best team that Boston has put out on the floor. Just the chemistry that they're playing with, they know their roles, their identity. There's no question about the leaders on that team. Big players are stepping up in big moments. Yeah,
I
yeah, they might win the whole thing. I honestly like this might be the year where Boston just takes the whole thing.
I think they're gonna mess around and win the whole thing. But um, so yeah, like we said, beginning of the podcast, we've been gone for a while. We've been working on some stuff for you guys. We've been, updating our YouTube page. That's partially my fault. We've been putting out some TikToks for you guys. Great TikToks. You all need to go check us out. We're gonna try and hopefully post daily if we can. I mean, we're in a time of year where there's a lot of news going around, a lot of
Yeah.
news cycles. So news for you guys. We'll probably have to talk to my co-host here, but I think we had some, a mutual agreement that we're going to try and start posting podcasts more often.
Yeah.
Next week we do have the draft on Monday, I believe it is,
Yeah,
and we're
starts on
definitely going to
Monday.
be, yeah, we're going to try and get our some of our other buddies that are behind the scenes here on a live stream on Twitch while we watch the draft together. We've done it every year since I want to say 2018, whether it be
Yeah.
in person or on Xbox.
Hmm.
So we're gonna definitely get that episode out to you guys Monday night or whatever night the first round is, because I think we have a lot to say about that particular thing. Also, we're gonna have another playoff roundup. It's gonna be more like looking into next year, because we've already kind of covered our P's and Q's with the playoffs this year, but we're also gonna look at like team needs and stuff sometime next week, and then we're also gonna dive into a little bit of baseball. How about those Houston Space City uniforms, guys? I think I just got a jersey. My wallet's hurting a little bit. No, I think they're the best jerseys that the MLB's had in a while. But yeah,
I
guys,
like the White Sox jerseys.
those were pretty cool too. But any closing remarks for you guys personally before we sign
Yeah,
off?
guys, I just want to say thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the love on TikTok. A couple of our videos blew up today unexpectedly, so that was really cool to see. Definitely check us out there. Check us out on YouTube so that you guys can leave comments. Like Chris said, check us out on our Twitter. We definitely have a lot to talk about in the coming weeks, because as soon as the draft is like over, then it's OTAs, and then it's training camp, and then Hard Knocks starts coming out, so it ramps up really quickly. So definitely tune in the next few couple months. We're gonna have a lot to say, and yeah, guys, thanks for all your support.
No, hey, everybody, just thanks for watching. Thanks for looking at our TikToks. Thanks for liking. Thanks for engaging. That means a lot. It shows that the content we're putting out there, you guys are enjoying. So we appreciate that stuff. And just look out for more. Look out on our Twitter page where we be posting announcements and stuff like that.
All right, guys, this has been the Double MC podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.